Let's begin with a structural overview. Today we discuss Rodri, the Spanish footballer born in 1996, and how one player can determine the geometry of an entire match. This is another lecture. I am Alexei, a professor by vocation and habit. We will proceed carefully but not slowly.
Hi, I'm Priyanka, the teaching assistant and a doctoral student. I'll ask the questions many listeners might be thinking.
To frame our discussion, in lay terms, Rodri is Spain's midfield anchor who plays for Manchester City. He is the steady figure who shields the defense, circulates the ball, and decides whether the team breathes in or out. In simpler terms, he is the thermostat, not the thermometer. He sets the temperature rather than merely registering it.
And technically, what is he doing that is special?
In scientific or tactical terms, he is a midfield pivot who creates stable passing networks by offering constant angles. His positional intelligence yields both short and long distribution, with pass accuracy around 91 to 92% across seasons. In 2021-22, he averaged about 82 completed passes per 90 minutes, attempting a pass roughly every 60 seconds. Under Pep Guardiola, he often drops between the center backs to form a temporary back three and build-up, which manipulates pressing lines and opens the half spaces. Defensively, he screens, times regains, and compresses transitions. Available analyses report his tackle success near 73%, and in 2022-23, an extraordinary 100% aerial duel win rate. We observe a player who converts spatial awareness into territorial control.
So, the stakes. Why should anyone care beyond Manchester or Madrid?
It is crucial to understand that modern football is fundamentally an exercise in space management. Rodri has been integral to City's 4 consecutive Premier League titles, from 2020-21 through 2023-24. He scored the decisive goal in the 2023 Champions League final, captained Spain to Euro 2024, and won Player of the Tournament. And in 2024, he won the Ballon d'Or, the first Manchester City player and only the second Spanish male after Luis Suarez in 1960 to do so. The importance is structural rather than sentimental. His presence correlates with system stability, and his suspensions in 2023 coincided with rare defeats that emphasize his centrality.
Historically, there was a misunderstanding early on, right?
Indeed, Atletico Madrid released him from their academy in 2013 for a perceived lack of physical strength. Villarreal then provided the laboratory for his development. This is a classic case in which late physical maturation and a clear pathway to first-team football reshaped his evaluation.
Maybe before we go deep, 2 basic facts to anchor us.
First, he scored the winning goal in the 2023 UEFA Champions League final against Inter. Second, as Spain's captain, he led La Roja to the 2026 World Cup title and won the Golden Ball despite no goals or assists. Both events underscore that control, not merely end product, can decide history.
And 2 chronological highlights to keep our map straight.
In 2019, Manchester City activated his release clause for around £62.6 million, a mechanism common in Spain. In 2024, he suffered an ACL and meniscus injury but returned in May 2025, thereafter helping City to domestic cups in 2025-26. In this context, his arc is resilience plus refinement. A brief personal note. Control fascinates me. In chess, we sometimes win not with immediate tactics, but by improving the worst-placed piece. Rodri embodies that continuous improvement. Every touch relocates the problem for the opponent.
So, moving on. Can we set up 3 big questions to guide the rest?
This logically leads us to 3 inquiries. 1. What did Atletico Madrid's 2013 release change about his trajectory? 2. A counterfactual. What if the 2023 Champions League final goal had not occurred? 3. How should we assess the claim that he is the best defensive midfielder, or even the best player of the present era? On to our next point, the historical question, Atletico's release.
I'm curious about the impact. If he stayed at Atletico, would he become the same player?
We can infer that Villarreal was catalytic. Between 2015 and 2018, he transitioned from Villarreal B to the first team, refined positional play, and gained consistent minutes. By late 2017, he extended his contract to 2022, and in February 2018, he scored his first La Liga goal. The environment trusted his metronomic style rather than demanding immediate physical dominance. Then, in May 2018, Atletico repurchased the developed product for around 20 million euros plus variables. Paradoxically, being released likely accelerated his rise by placing him where opportunity density matched his developmental curve.
So, Villarreal's influence. Tactically, what did it add that we still see today?
Villarreal emphasized first-touch security, receiving orientation, and the humility of simple passes made on time. These habits scale. Under Guardiola, they became the substrate for backline drops, press resistance, and a scanning routine that lets him turn under pressure. Notably, at the 2022 World Cup, Spain trusted him to play as a central defender, preserving their possession identity from the back. That choice is rooted in the Villarreal era's pedagogical focus on distribution and angles, rather than showy interventions. To summarize the first question, the release looked like rejection, but in practice, it produced an environment that accelerated technical and cognitive growth. Atletico then validated that correction by buying him back. The arc is a case study in late development and institutional fit. Let's transition to another aspect, the counterfactual of Istanbul 2023.
What if that shot had been blocked or saved? How different would the next chapter be for City and for him?
Consider the topology of legacy. Without that goal, Manchester City might still have won in extra time, or they might not. If not, Guardiola's era would still be celebrated, but the missing European crown would color narratives. Rodri would remain an elite pivot, but the treble-defining moment disappears, and subsequent accolades plausibly shift. The 2023 Club World Cup and 2024 Ballon d'Or recognition were amplified by Istanbul. Awards are not pure outputs of control metrics. They are punctuated by symbolic acts. Remove the symbol and you reduce the surface area for consensus.
And Guardiola's legacy. Would one more year of waiting for Europe change the story materially?
Arguably, yes. History is path-dependent. City's treble reframed the project as complete, and that completeness made it easier to recognize a holding midfielder's primacy. In this context, Rodri's long-range threat also changed defensive behavior. When opponents must step to him, the half space is open for third-man runs. Istanbul crystallized this dual threat. It was not merely a goal, it was a lesson plan in how control can end in decisive action. So the significance. The goal solidified the European title, validated a control-based valuation, and provided the narrative keystone that later supported Nations League Player of the Finals in 2023, Euro 2024 Player of the Tournament, and the 2024 Ballon d'Or. Moving forward, the present-day question is whether he is the best defensive midfielder, perhaps even the best player right now.
Can we say he is the best defensive midfielder in Premier League history, Or is that too soon?
The debate is active. Advocates cite 4 straight league titles with him central, the control metrics, the 2023 final, and the remarkable correlation between his suspensions and City's defeats in 2023. Skeptics respond with longevity criteria and the league's long lineage of great anchors. In the present tense, Guardiola has called him the best midfield player in the world by far, and external media have ranked him among the very top across positions. Empirically, we have the 50-match Premier League unbeaten run by May 2024, the IFFHS and FIFPro selections, and international MVPs. Against that, forwards' goals and assists remain persuasive in awards cultures. Nevertheless, his 2026 World Cup Golden Ball, without goals or assists, is evidence that valuation is evolving.
What should our criteria be? If we were serious about measuring the best?
It is important to understand the multidimensionality. 1. Possession chain involvement and on-ball expected threat modulation. 2. Press resistance under density, measured by successful receptions under pressure and the progressive actions they allow teammates. 3. Transition suppression, proxied by field tilt after turnovers. 4. Dual economy, not just tackles but tackle timing that preserves structure. 5. Availability and effect size, since City's record during his absences suggests a large marginal contribution. And finally, context adjusters. City's systemic quality is high, yet his role is the organizing principle. Further research should fuse tracking data with Bayesian models to capture counterfactuals of where the ball would have gone without his intervention. Mathematically, that closes the gap between intuition and evidence.
One last nuance. How do we integrate off-field signals like leadership or discipline, especially given he wore the armband for Spain and faced a brief disciplinary episode after Euro 2024 celebrations?
Leadership is partly observable. Taking penalties under pressure against Brazil in March 2024, captaining Spain through Euro 2024 and the 2026 World Cup, and maintaining composure as the team's metronome. Disciplinary events must be noted and contextualized. A one-match ban in 2024 for celebratory conduct serves as a reminder of responsibilities. Yet the longer arc emphasizes steadiness, and his minimal social media presence suggests a focus on preparation over narrative. The evidence on balance points to a captain who leads by structure and by example. In conclusion, Rodri is a Spanish defensive midfielder who functions as a deep pivot for Manchester City and for Spain, dictating tempo while protecting the back line. Today we examined a historical hinge in 2013 and how Villarreal reshaped his path, a counterfactual of the 2023 Champions League final, and how one strike altered narratives, and a present-day assessment of best in role, with criteria that privilege control and availability.
For further study, we should track how holding midfield roles evolve as teams invert fullbacks and compress central lanes, and how awards follow or lag behind that evolution. Thank you for listening.
This then completes our present analysis. Be well, and until next time.